Recording in progress.
You guys are live.
Okay, it's 9 a.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And can we do roll call, please?
Director Vasquez.
Here.
Director House.
Here.
Director Fear.
Yes.
Director Bradford.
Here.
Director Messick.
Here.
Director Matthews.
Here.
Director Bishop.
Y'all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Is within the board subject matter jurisdiction. Public comment periods are limited to 3 minutes per person, and the total amount of time for public comment is 15 minutes. Persons participating by way of video conference or teleconference shall ensure their audio is muted at all times, except when the board chair announces public comment periods. At those designated times, members of the public wishing to speak shall enable their audio and state their name for the record. When multiple members of the public wish to speak, the clerk will determine the order of speakers and announce their names accordingly. To ensure proper conduct, the board reserves the right to mute the audio and video of any member of the public violating generally accepted principles and decorum of official public meetings. We do not have any virtual public comment.
No public comments? All right. Approval of consent items.
Move to approve. I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent items. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Discussion items. Consider approving the audited financial statements for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. Jack.
Good morning, members of the board. Jack Winship, accounting manager. Before I pass it over to Justin, I just wanted to highlight we switched over auditors after about 9 years, more so to get a fresh perspective, from the new auditors. I feel like we kind of outgrew the auditors we had, so we going into the new auditors, just know it's a very daunting task. It's a lot of kind of building and helping them understand our business. So I want to commend our staff that worked on this audit for the great work that they did. It's a lot of learning processes, controls, and testings. So with that, I want to pass it over to Justin from Munn CPA to give an overview of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Jack. As Jack mentioned, I'm here to present the results for this last fiscal year's audit. And as Jack mentioned, the first year can be a little bit difficult. There's a lot of information that we need to gather in that first year that we put in our permanent file. So it's definitely a lot more work on the finance staff that very first year, but the audit definitely went really well. I have a PowerPoint, so I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right, so as I mentioned, it was the audit for the Yuba Water Agency for the last fiscal year, which was ended June 30th, 2024. One thing I like to remind board members as well as members of management is that the financial statements themselves are the representation of management as well as the internal controls related to the financials. And then it's our responsibility as the auditor to come in and form an independent opinion on those financials to let the reader know whether or not they're fairly stated. So that's the goal of a financial statement audit, is to express an opinion on the financials for the year ended June 30th. So a little bit about our audit process. We break out our field work into two different phases, interim and year end. The interim phase we did in July. A lot of what we're doing during this time is we're gathering a lot of information about the agency. We're getting all current contracts, agreements, documentation of current procedures and controls. And we end up doing, even though we're physically out there in July for interim, we request a lot of information up front for both of the fieldwork periods. But here we're able to do some planning ahead of time. We review the board minutes for at least the entire prior year. And then we get into the internal controls and testing of those different controls. And even though it's a financial statement audit, the testing and documentation of your internal controls is an important part of this process. So I listed out there 4 different areas that we, as auditors, generally look at in terms of the financial controls. So we're looking at receipts and revenue coming into the agency. We look at the disbursement process and controls over the expenses as well. And as we're going through each of these areas, things that we're looking for, when I'm saying we're looking at the internal controls and testing those controls, is we're looking for things like, is there a proper segregation of duties? You don't want one particular employee having too much control over a particular financial process. So you want to make sure those are segregated as much as possible. We're also looking for things like management approval. And so you just want to also, in addition to documentation of those different processes, we look for approval as we go through them as well. Continuing on with the HR and payroll functions, we're looking at new hires, approval of rates for payroll, making sure that the payroll process is occurring timely, as well as getting approved before that's being submitted. And then the financial reporting side, things like we're looking for bank reconciliations. Are they being done and performed timely? Is there a review process in place? Is that review process being documented? And that's what we're looking at there as part of the financial reporting process. So once the books are closed and all the audit schedules are prepared, we request that we get a trial balance 2 weeks prior to our fieldwork period. That allows us to do some planning up front, select samples and things. So we were out in the field on site in October. And I think this is what most people think of when you think of an audit. It's the testing of the numbers. And so we're testing the balances at June 30th, as well as the activity throughout the year. I listed an example of some different types of tests we do to gain comfort with those numbers. Cutoff testing is a big one. This is where agencies a lot of times can be good at doing day-to-day transactions as you go throughout the year. But when you come to a year end or in a cutoff period, there's different types of entries that have to be done by finance to make sure that they're being recorded in the proper periods. So there's just more likelihood of error. So it's considered to be a higher risk area. So we look at transactions on both sides of your year end. We look at transactions leading up to June 30th and then even after the June 30th period into July and August and even to September. So we're making sure that things are recorded and cut off properly. We also do analytical review procedures. These are higher level tests where we'll look at things like balances and accounts over several years to see if there's any unusual fluctuations. We do things like ratio analysis where we'll look at things like payroll as a percentage of FTE, benefits as a percentage of payroll. So higher level procedures that if anything comes out as unusual or didn't meet our expectations, then we can dig in further. Also do confirmation of balances. This is where we send confirmation requests directly to financial institutions who respond directly to us through an electronic process. And that allows us to verify independently that the balance is being reported by the agency in agreement with the external financial institutions. Also do detailed transaction testing. That's really where we're selecting samples from your accounting system and then requesting the backup for those to make sure that they're appropriately accounted for in the right classification and as well as timing too. And then we put together the financial statements and footnotes to make sure that they're all presented in accordance with the GASB requirements. In order to report the results of the audit, there are 4 different reports or letters that we issue. Audit opinion, this is the main one. This is our report on your financial statements. And then we also issue a government audit standards report that goes to the back of the financials, and then 2 separate letters, a board communication or audit conclusion letter, and then a management letter. So we'll talk about the results of each of these reports. Again, the main one here is the independent auditor's report. There are 4 different types of opinions that an auditor can provide. Unmodified, qualified, adverse, or disclaimer. Unmodified is what you want, and that's what we have here. for the agency. It's a clean audit opinion. It says the financial statements as presented are materially correct. So definitely good news there. Next report we issue is the government audit standards report that goes to the back of your financial statements. The majority of the government audit standards fall on us, the requirements as the auditor. We have to have make sure all of our staff who work on these audits have appropriate governmental training. There's different things we have to have in our own internal quality control procedures to be able to do these types of audits. And the way that affects you is during the course of the audit, if we identify any issues in internal controls that we consider to be very significant, in other words, a material weakness or a significant deficiency, they're required to get reported in a schedule after this report. If they don't rise to that level, then we can issue a management letter. And so not that those aren't important, but they definitely don't rise to the level of material weakness, significant deficiency, or if there are any compliance issues, they would get reported here. So again, very good news. Next letter we issue is the audit conclusion letter. That in addition to our audit opinion, there's other things that we're required to communicate to you as the board, and this letter accomplishes that. Nothing unusual here. If you had any new accounting policies that were implemented during the year, we would let you know. There were none. The GASB actually gave us a break for 1 year because they've had a lot of pretty big statements that have come out that have affected financial statements over the recent years, but none in this year. If there are any accounting estimates in your financials, we're required to let you know what those are. Nothing unusual. All financials are going to have some sort of estimate. We're just required to let you know. Depreciation, the net pension liability, as well as the net OPEB liability, those are considered to be estimates. Just because the depreciation is just an estimate of the cost associated with the useful life of an asset. So it's considered to be an estimate. And the other two are based on actuarial calculations. So it's considered to be an estimate. But again, nothing unusual. If we had any difficulties in performing the audit, this would be our opportunity to let you know. Some examples would be if there were major delays in the audit that maybe at the end didn't affect the audit results, but there were delays, we would let you know that here. But again, there weren't. If we had any disagreements with management, we would let you know. What those could be are things like disagreement in the application of a particular accounting policy or how to record something in the financials. And we would let you know if there was a disagreement, but there were none. Audit adjustments, this is where we let you know if there were any adjustments that we had to make during the course of the audit. So we're provided with your trial balance to start the audit, which represents your books of record essentially as of June 30th. During the course of the audit, if we identify any things that need to be corrected or reclassified, they're considered to be audit adjustments. We always have a few, especially in a first-year audit, we tend to find some things. Beginning net assets, we had to make a minor adjustment to agree to the prior year audited financials. We had a correction of the pension expense and related entries for that, which essentially was a reversal of an entry that was recorded incorrectly. We had to adjust the accrued payroll entry just between the different funds, so nothing that affected the balances in total. And then rent payable, this was something that was on the books for a long time, and when we questioned it, it was something that the accounting staff had realized should have been removed, so we made an adjustment for that as well. I mentioned earlier that if we had any issues with your controls, that internal controls that we considered to be very significant, in other words, rose to the level of material weakness or significant deficiency, those would get reported in that government audit standards report as part of your financial statement packet. There were none, so we have a couple recommendations here that are reported separately in a management letter. We have the capital asset policy, making sure that that gets updated. Also had our recommendation is to include fund numbers in the accounting system, and it's my understanding that that's something that's going to be happening with a potential new ERP in the future. And then there were some due to, due from balances in between the funds. Don't affect numbers as a whole, but between the two different funds, there's some reconciling that should be done there within the next year or two. So overall, we have excellent audit results, especially for a first year coming in. A lot of times having a different look at things, we end up with some more findings, but things went really well. Clean opinion on the financials, unmodified, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies or compliance exceptions. Had the 5 audit adjustments, which really not that unusual, and then the 3 management letter comments. So definitely overall, as Jack mentioned, we're coming in with a fresh set of eyes, and to end up with great audit results like that really speaks to the quality of the accounting and finance staff that you have there. So they should be commended. That's a lot of work, especially for that first year. As Jack and I have both mentioned, it's a lot of information gathering on finance's part. So they did a great job, and we really appreciate their help in allowing our team to get through this audit timely and be able to present these results to you. Anybody, that concludes my official formal presentation. If anybody has any questions for me, I'm here to help.
Any questions from the board? Justin? No? Thank you. Justin?
We have a motion to approve the audit,
We need one.
and so moved.
Second that motion.
Is there any other further comment from the public? None? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank
Item 8, chair appointments of board members to serve on standing committees. The Yuba Levy Financing Authority and certain professional associations recommended appointments are listed in the staff report of the agenda item. Do you need me to read all those, Andy? Or do you guys have any questions? You guys all had a chance to review them? Everybody's good? Somebody make a motion to approve those?
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, managers report.
Okay, so we had a really good beginning to our water year. Well, a little bit light in October, but November, December were good, but it's dried out the last few weeks, and it looks like it's going to be dry through the month of January. So our inflow has been good. The storage in the reservoir is good. We're approaching the flood pool, but the snowpack isn't as great as we'd like to see, and the forecast isn't great. So we'll see how February, March, and April turn out, but all in all, we're having a decent year, although a little bit awkward. Currently, all our generators are online, and things are going well. The crew has been working on a couple unique things the last several weeks. One, they're adding some safety features to the Narrows 1 tram. The tram is I'll call it a trolley car that rides on rails that goes from the top of the hill down to the powerhouse. So they've been kind of internally engineering and installing some safety features there. And then the second thing that they've been working on is the Narrows 2 small bypass hood. There is a shroud, I'll call it a shroud. Think of it as like the fan shroud around your fan on your car engine area, and it keeps the water from spraying onto the bank of the river that comes out of the Narrows 2 small bypass. We had to operate this Narrows 2 small bypass for a significant amount of time, about a month during the outage, to ensure that we delivered water into the Yuba River. That's an operation that the valve is designed for, but it's an operation we don't do commonly. And this shroud is let's call it an add-on feature to that valve, and it experienced some let's call it significant wear, and the team removed it and is going to either rebuild it by, let's just say, making it heavier or more competent, or they might replace it. We'll figure that out. But that's what they've been working on. These guys like reporting on these unique jobs that aren't kind of your day-to-day, check things and change the oil. So that's what the crew's been working on. All in all, everything's going well in the watershed. With regard to administration and HR and that, there's a pretty detailed report in here about, it summarizes our hires and retirements and resignations for the year. I'm not going to go into it line by line, but you can see how our staff is evolving over time. On the communication side, the Appeal Democrat and Yuba-Net ran stories on the contract award for the tunnel outage. CBS 13 and the Appeal Democrat covered the improvements to the fairgrounds that are being implemented by the Yuba City Rotary Club with support from a grant from us. In community relations, Kyle Morgado will be meeting with a group of students from the Career Preparatory Charter Academy up at Bullards later today to talk about flood risk and water supply. And we have another group from the charter school going up with Director House on the 30th to tour the power systems construction site, and then over to Bullards to meet with staff from various functional areas to hear about the different kinds of jobs they could pursue in water and power. Our upcoming sponsorships include the Youth Mariachi Concert for the Alliance for Hispanic Advancement on the 18th. And our upcoming board meetings are February 4th. We have a regular board meeting and an ABP meeting.
Question. Could you give an opinion on the different El Niños, where the state might be in a water year yet?
Yeah, we're it's in here, and we report on this at every board meeting. I don't like to go into detail on it because it's so long term, but I feel like it's daunting and you guys don't want to hear it. But since you've asked, I'll give it to you. We've transferred over the last, call it 12 months, from an El Nino condition, warm water in the Eastern Pacific, to a La Nina condition. Oftentimes John will include kind of statistics on precipitation associated with El Ninos and La Ninas. And I think the last time I reported on that was sometime in October, and it was kind of foreshadowing us going into a La Nina and what that means for precipitation. So I don't have those stats in this report. I'll ask John to put it in our next report. But La Nina is typically dry. Doesn't mean it's always dry, though. But we're seeing this intra-water year drought, and that's happened in years past. I think 3 years ago we had one of those water years where we don't see precipitation. We see precipitation in the early part of the year, and then we have this gap like we're having now, like a January and half of February, or half of January and all of February. It's just dry. The one that I distinctly remember was 2013, and where it was like up in the 5,000 foot elevation in the upper Yuba. It was, 45, 50 degrees overnight, 65 degrees in the daytime, and no precipitation for months. So we see that now. I mean, there's probably in the historic record, for which we have 120 years, it's probably existed for that long, but we don't have those detailed records. Bottom line is we are seeing these intra-water year, call them lack of precipitation periods. We're hoping that, the next, call it 2.5 months of the water year are wet, and we see a little bit more snowpack build up. But all in all, just the fact that we're nearing the flood pool is a good sign. We don't have to have a record year to have a good water year here in the Yuba.
Thank you.
I had a question on the tramway. I thought that the tramway was not usable for people. Is that fixed now so people can use it?
That's what we're working on.
Okay.
So what Chair Messick is talking about is we had a misoperation that we on the tram that we identified as very likely an issue with the radio communications, and we have had the radio system, let's just call it it was rebuilt, and then our electrician and elect-tech crew is adding additional safety features on the tram that didn't exist before, just as a redundancy for safety. But you're right, currently we don't use the tram for personnel, we just use it for equipment. The team hikes into Narrows 1, but that is the effort underway right now, is to get the tram to a situation where we're confident it is safe for human use as well.
All right. I'll volunteer to be the first one to ride on it.
There we go. Do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? The manager's report? All right, director's reports. We'll start down here with Andy.
Well, I'm gonna go to the Grand Canyon tour in March. This last Saturday, we did a proclamation remembering the life and legacy of Antonio Pasillas. If you ever get a chance to read this proclamation, one of the best proclamations I've ever seen, describing achieving the American dream by somebody who came in the country and couldn't read or write. Let's see. Hopefully we take a little lesson from Los Angeles that the Orville Dam didn't quite drive home. Apparently, maintenance saves billions of dollars. Orville cost us billions. They've destroyed billions of homes, billions of dollars of homes, and they didn't fire test the fire hydrants in 24-25. That was suspended by Governor Newsom. And 24, he cut $100 million in funding for fire protection, and the mayor cut $17.4 million in funding to the fire department. One of the main water supplies has been empty for nearly a year, holding 17 million gallons of water. It was empty in Pacific Palisades. The fire chief at LA, top in her bio, was DEI and spent a ridiculous amount in that. And you fired firefighters for not getting the vaccine. These are just simple, stupid management mistakes by our governor. And let's see, the California regulations prevent the capture and storage of water runoff and prioritize the Delta smelt. And then State Farm announced last year not to renew 69% of the fire policies in the Pacific Palisades because of long-term brush risk and poor management. California voters voted in 2014 $7.5 billion water bond. None of that's been started. So you take a lesson from the firestorms that are still going, I hope. All right. Thank you.
Rennick?
All right. I know most people around here don't live in Marysville, but the Cal Water announced they're going to increase rates by 33% again, making us the highest cost water supplier in the region there. So I think that it'd be prudent to have our Yuba Water Agency look at helping provide affordable water to all people in our county, including the city of Marysville. I'm not sure what opportunities are available or what has been explored in the past. I have a meeting with Willie on Friday and hope to talk about that, among other things. But ultimately, we just we need to realize that things need to be fair and equitable across Yuba County, and water needs to be available to everybody at a reasonable rate. Linda Water is about half the cost of Cal Water, so not sure. And then Yuba City Water is a lot cheaper in a different county, though. But they do take surface water in Sutter County, and ours is coming out of wells, so it might be something to explore. And then just lots of opportunities as I'm getting started on all the different committees throughout the county. Hope to connect some of our resources and have a positive outlook for our community. And then I want to say thank you guys for scheduling that field trip for Yuba County Career Prep Charter. We have most of the alternative ed students from Yuba County, the ones who are deficient in credits, have failed out of school, have been expelled, and they're working to improve their aspect of being employable through a career preparatory oriented school. And it's really important to get out there and see people doing the work and give those kids hope. So appreciate you. Thank you.
Seth? No report. Wayne?
Nothing today.
Okay. Charlie?
I would like to take a few minutes first to thank the voters for giving me another 4 years on the water agency. I would think that in my 4 years, the most important thing we have to do is our permanent license. And I've served under every manager on the water agency over the last 50 years. And I think that we have the most outstanding of that entire group. So I'm sure that he has done an outstanding job and is working diligently on not only the license, but many other things. So the voluntary agreements, he's been working very hard. The trouble with the voluntary agreements, if they went with the mandatory agreements, we would lose a lot of power revenue. And he has put together on his own initiative a natural fishway around Daguerre Point to use that as a negotiating thing, not only to help the fish, but to help our license. And also he has been putting together consultants on a community aggregate, which would help the citizens in Yuba County with their power bills. We have two other items that where he has been working on, and one is returning adult salmon, because that is the major factor that the environmentalists use about taking more of our water to go to the ocean, and uses that we would lose. And it's something in the order of going up to 65% of the water where they're taking in the 40% area now. And then last Director Rennick said, working on a way that Marysville's rates are twice as high as Linda County's rates. And when you drive through East Marysville in the summertime, you see a tremendous amount of dry lawns. My constituents have told me that it costs $140 in a month just to irrigate a small patch of lawn in front of some of these houses. So with Linda being half of what Marysville is, we've started some discussions. And I found out that through the discussions and work that the Yuba City rates are half of Linda's. So I follow what Director Rennick has said, that the water agency his mission is flood control and water development, that the water development for the citizens of Yuba County, maybe we can find ways to help Marysville, Linda, and Opud not only get better quality water by treating river water rather than wells, but making their rates go down. So with the board's concurrence, I thank them that I get to serve with them.
Through the chair, Marysville did sell his water rights. It's water rights.
Cal Water owns it. Other municipalities have bought out Cal Water. So there is a feasible way.
That's for Marysville to come up with a plan.
But they would need our help.
All right. Gary?
Just want to say thanks to my fellow board members for allowing me to continue to represent the agency on NAQUA, AQUA, and AQUA JPIA. And speaking of NAQUA, we had our first board meeting of the year last Friday at Lumberg Farms in Richvale. Mike Felice was there as well. It included a strategic planning session, and I'm happy to share those documents with any board member who would like to see them. I'm sure you don't want me to summarize the 5-hour meeting for you, so I'm happy to send you something. And one of the things I really appreciate about NAQUA and their attitude is they take a fix, not fight approach, which I believe is exactly what we do here at Yuba Water. We look for solutions as opposed to fighting. And so I appreciate being part of another organization that works really hard to just look at innovative solutions that are the right thing to do. And hopefully are win-win for everyone involved. So as kind of already commented, our general manager is exceptional at that. And so I appreciate it. So that's it.
Great. Thank you. So I have a few items. Coming up, March 29th is the Yuba County Search and Rescue Dinner over here at the 530 building. I'm planning on attending. I recommend it for you guys. May 17th will be our second annual When Pigs Fly Aero Squadron dinner. And this one's mainly for Willie. They've moved the Mountain Fair in Brownsville to July. It's going to be July 26th and 27th. So you better start getting ready for the 5K now. I'm going to challenge the Yuba Water Agency staff to put together a team to run the 5K with me. And I'll also make that challenge to Yuba County as well. So July 26th and 27th. So the 5K will be on the 27th, Sunday morning. So I would like to try to get some big teams up and get a competition going.
Golf carts.
They allow golf carts, yeah. Well, there was a guy riding a one wheel up there last year. So Andy, if you want to ride a one wheel, we'll let you do that. So I'm the representative for the Yuba Water Agency for Mountain Counties Water, and we're going to be hosting the Mountain Counties Water meeting in April. We'll have a reception on April 10th. There'll be a Thursday evening, and then the meeting will be April 11th, most likely right here in the Government Center. So that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't often get to correct Director Matthews, and I didn't know that he has worked with every general manager of the water agency. The correction is Director Matthews doesn't work for the general manager. The general manager works for Director Matthews on the board. So there you go, Charlie.
Great. Okay. Well, with that, meeting's adjourned.
Thanks.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
In Yuba County, there's a legendary diner.
Oh, it looks delicious. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Where the parking lot tells a story. A story as simple as biscuits and gravy.
The food is good. The prices are wonderful. My dad has so many friends here that come here, and it's my dad and mom have known Mary Jane and her dad before Duke.
Duke's Diner on 7th Avenue, home of legendary chili, holiday pies, and generations of local residents preparing tasty, hearty food for generations of local people. Join Mary Jane and her genial associates as they serve meals you'll come back for. Duke's Diner on 7th Avenue, Olivehurst.
In Marysville, where roots run deep, McNally Appliances promises to keep the best brands with a smile on its face. We service what we sell, it's a warm embrace. Competitive pricing you can't ignore. With every purchase you'll love it more. From fridges to washers, all in a line. We install with care to make it shine. Major brands, trusted and true. McNally Appliances is here for you. Oh, Nally McNally, we're your first choice. In Marysville, we help you rejoice. We service what we sell, don't need to stress. At McNally Appliances, we're simply the best. Our promise stands, we'll always be here. McNally Appliances, bringing you cheer.
McNally Appliances, 119 D Street, Marysville. McNallyAppliances.com. You've seen signs marking some of the gems in Marysville. They're produced by Sapphire Sign Company, providing something small, large, and mobile. With decades of experience, Sapphire Signs has pioneered local production of a variety of signs, like temporary campaign-style signs, welcomes for unique events, building signage, event promotion, and vehicle customization. Need a sign? Make it a gem from Sapphire Sign Company. on the web at sapphiremarketinggroup.net.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.live, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.live, in the heart of our home. Be informed, be wise. Yuba-Sutter.live, we capture it all. Policy debates, hear the people's call. With Yuba-Sutter.live, you'll never miss a beat. Special reports hit hard, shining a spotlight. Yuba-Sutter.live. Yuba-Sutter.live.
Yuba-Sutter.live. It's the truth that comes through.